Have I said it? Chapter 10. Ignorance. Considerations. You do not know what anything is. By Bubba John. An enlightened lover cannot be bothered with subjectivity, fear, or concern. How boring. Such a one is only busy with the affair of his or her loving, which extends into every area of life. It is all a delicious exploration. It is profound, ordinary, but full of magic. Who knows what will happen next? That is not the lover's concern. Suddenly it strikes you that you are present as the body totally, not just as the flesh, but as everything arising. You are space, you are light. Enter the garden with your lover, sit intimately and breathe your mutual presence together. Who starts where and who stops anywhere? The world is full of endless possibilities for us all. This is the kingdom. This is that very garden. How could it be someplace else? We are here. It never began, and it never can come to an end. It is endless, mindless, deliciously paradoxical, unreasonably happy. The self-reference is a convention of reference for getting things done every day. But the self never appears in our experience. It is a symbol, a bit of language. It is not a description of how it is. It is an advertisement. The I never appears in the event as it does in sentences. The I appearing, or the me, the self-reference, appears constantly in speech, but it never appears in experience. Don't you think that is remarkable? It never does. The ego does not exist. It is a model of interpretation. It is a way of making sense out of nonsense. So if you remain true to your experience, you must begin to operate in quite a different way. This begins to become fully apparent to you, certain to you. It is fundamental to every moment of your consciousness. You must be transformed, don't you think? Yes? Do you think it is time for you? No one has ever had a thought. Something arose. You know what I mean? There are only things arising. No knowledge. As soon as you get used to it, if you do not forget it, and if you oblige yourself to live with such understanding, things begin to go on quite differently for you. Do not think back. Get into it right now. Do you know what consciousness is? Is knowledge what it is? And do you ever experience that which you are? That which observes consciousness and all other things? Do you ever know that itself? You do not know it. You are not a thing apart that could know it. You are it altogether. No matter what arises as experience, thought, emotion, circumstances, action, self-sense, world, relationship, whatever, we do not know what it is. Our fundamental position in the midst of arising things is utter ignorance or non-knowledge of the existence of anything. We can and do very naturally gain all kinds of information about things, people, events, but we never know what they are. This is always and eternally true. We are already eternally happy in our ignorance. No matter what forms of knowledge we may acquire, even the higher so-called spiritual realizations, we never know what it is. There is no such knowledge. There is absolute ignorance of it. Absolute ignorance of what you are. or what anything is. That is nirvana, and yet you see at the same time all this can occur. All these so-called phenomena do not interfere with this ignorance. You are never in danger of knowing anything. Nirvana is eternal, and yet everything arises. There is no one making it arise, no one watching it arise. Nothing is known, and yet everything is going on and can be done exactly as it has always been before. And yet, when this is fully the realization in consciousness, this will make a great deal of difference. It is not knowledge at all. It is profoundest ignorance. Adaptation to this ignorance is the highest wisdom. Wisdom is adaptation, total ignorance. You can see how this is so, yes? So all of this and nirvana are exactly the same. No knowledge, no knower, only arising. Nothing ever to be known about that. There is no cause of it. It does not even exist. Not stupid, but complete ignorance. Completely unqualified, without qualification, and also not qualified to know. Absolutely unqualified by any knowledge whatsoever, by any specific definition or modification of consciousness. The illusion of knowledge, the illusion of knower, of some knowledge to be attained, is suffering. When the illusion of knowledge is gone, suffering is completely gone. All knowledge is completely vanished. There is no mind, no form, no thing, and yet there is everything. This paradox is as close as you can come to pointing to the divine, so-called. The paradox of this moment, unqualified and yet qualified at the same time, while this is enlightenment. This is total, unqualified and absolute enlightenment. You are now enlightened. All of this is obvious, isn't it? The whole secret of spiritual practice is the freeing of attention to the point where that single gesture of attention, in which there is no knowledge, in which everything becomes obvious, may be made. Most of your attention is being played on by ordinary concerns and points of view, beliefs, fears, and so forth. Your attention must be freed up from that, fully, absolutely, so that this simple gesture can be made. Do you know what anything is? Is knowledge what you're up to? Do you know anything? This ignorance is your eternal, natural, and divine state. That is the truth. That is the divine form. That ignorance perfectly enjoyed. The illusion of knowledge is suffering. That is it. That is all there is to it. At every moment there is some new form of knowledge, some new certainty that this is your experience. You see what I mean? You think you are knowing something, but you are not knowing anything. You do not know what it is. In any case, you do not know what it is. Ignorance is your natural state. All this knowledge is very complicated and disturbing. It involves you in an adventure that qualifies you and threatens you even. But you are not in a body. You are in a state of ignorance. Grasp this with your whole body entirely. Make this your body, this ignorance, and all wisdom will appear as nothing, as nonsense. Nirvana is ignorance. Realization is release from knowledge, the illusion of knowledge. And all knowledge is an illusion because it does not actually amount to knowledge. There is no reduction of the mystery or the paradox. All things arise and nothing is known. That is nirvana. Rest in your ignorance, you are completely happy, completely unthreatened. You are completely free of what arises. It never implicates you for a moment. You know nothing about it. Knowledge is not your connection to it. There is no connection. There is no you to find. There is ignorance only, absolute ignorance. Well, that is enlightenment. That is it. Now you must live it in every moment, and you will see how mad you are. At any moment, feel and see if you know anything, and then return to your natural state. Ignorance is it, you see. That is it. Have I said it? There is only this ignorance eternally. You relax into fully feeling this ignorance. Absolutely blissful. It is perfectly obvious, isn't it? There is nothing to be realized beyond it. It is the one thing that is truth. It is very truth. It is the absolute experience. It is the only knowledge, this ignorance. It is never touched, never touched. I am that ignorance, you see. And so are you, aren't you? That same ignorance. You imagine that knowing is what you're up to. You imagine that enlightenment is some knowledge. But that is not what it is. It is this ignorance. You are without motion, without place, without fear, without extension, without quality, without liberation, without bondage, entirely without knowledge. And everything is simply obvious. It is perfectly obvious. Fall back into your natural condition of complete ignorance, no knowledge. Everything becomes obvious and there is no illusion and so suffering. You will not acquire any knowledge through any meaning whatsoever. Whatever it means, you still do not know what it is. You are released from knowing that. Abiding in that ignorance is release eternal. If you consider this argument constantly, then you will always be enlightened. It is always there, always has been there. This has always been your condition. And at the same time that there are all these things arising, apparently there is nothing. So-called. Even if you fail to understand that, it is still the same ignorance. Look at one another, realizing that you are not looking at anything that is knowing. There is no knower there. You have not the slightest idea what you are, what another is. Look at it directly. You are completely ignorant of it. All of you will be completely enlightened eternally. How can you forget ignorance again? This ignorance is your only experience, truly. It has nothing to do with anything. Do you see? There is only ignorance. Only ignorance. There is no knowledge, none. Complete ignorance of anything whatsoever is your nature. Not ignorance within or ignorance anywhere. It is only ignorance. That is it, only. No single gesture that arose could possibly make it anything more than ignorance. Everything arises and you know nothing about it, not even the slightest hint of what it is. No way to describe it. It is completely awesome and absurd, yet workable. It is all of that. It is a paradox, and you know nothing. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. 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 No knowledge whatsoever. Complete ignorance. Nothing. And yet nothing disappears. It is completely coincident with absolutely any moment whatsoever. Nothing that arises has the least effect upon it, and it causes nothing. Everything is it. Everything is the same ignorance. Everything that arises is it. It is that ignorance. You say it is a modification, and yet it is still the same ignorance. It makes no difference whatsoever. There is no knowledge arising at any moment, only arising itself. No knowledge whatsoever. Even so-called knowledge is only arising, and you know nothing about it. You haven't the slightest idea what it is. Independent of what you are thinking it means, you haven't any idea of what it is. So you exist in this complete ignorance. You are this complete ignorance. Everything is this ignorance. There is only this complete, absolute ignorance. That makes no difference whatsoever. What it is not the kind of thing that makes a difference, and yet it obviously makes all the difference. You know what I mean? Play it then. Nothing is realized. You do not know what anything is after that experience any more than before it. Nothing changes or qualifies this ignorance. Look at all of this and you realize that there is nothing knowable about it. All this is not as something about which knowledge can appear. There is no knowledge, never. You never could grasp this ignorance. You see, you never could. Only this ignorance then, and that is it. And this paradox is completely obvious, isn't it? There is no knowledge, only complete ignorance, and that is the truth of it. You know nothing. There is no knowledge. Profoundly realized, you are absolutely released in this ignorance. This is perfection. You see how the recognition of this ignorance is itself meditation. This is the only true meditation. This must become ordinary, constant. This is samadhi, enlightenment. The whole matter of enlightenment, of perfect realization, is instant. It does not require years and years of training. It is a direct confrontation in which the individual must have the available attention. But it is most simple, most direct. It is exactly as we have considered it and nothing more. After all is said and done, you do not know what anything is. You are completely ignorant, and nothing has ever been knowledge. So, consider that and do what you will. I am completely satisfied that that argument is entirely sufficient to enlighten all beings who can consider it. You do not know what anything is, even the knowledge you seem to have. There is no such thing as knowledge. It is just the illusion at the end of seeking. Realization is that all that is fruitless, and that there is no knowledge that can even be attained. But that very ignorance is precisely your condition and the condition of everything. And it would make no difference whatsoever. You will still know nothing about it. You know nothing more about the absolute divine vision than you know about this glass of water, and vice versa. You are completely ignorant of what it is. It may mean a lot, but you do not know what it is. You do not know what these meanings are. You do not know what they are. You see, you are completely ignorant. This is absolutely true, and that is the truth, and there really isn't anything else to realize. And one day it will be suddenly obvious. Your experience is complete ignorance. You do not know what anything is. You do not know what a word is. You do not know what anything is. It does not make any difference what happens. You still do not know anything about it. It is the noticing of this with the full force of one's being, so-called, that is enlightenment. Enlightenment is so brief, so simple. It is only a matter of knowing this, so-called knowing of this. Realizing ignorance brings the whole thing to an end, and even while it continues, it does not become single. It becomes a paradox, a condition of which there is no knowledge whatsoever. Do you know what I am talking about? Good. I suspected as much, because in saying all of this, I have not known anything whatsoever. So how could you know anything more as a result of listening to me? You do not. You are as ignorant now as then. You have understood nothing. Even if you had understood something, it would make no difference, because you do not know what it is. Not just thinking about it, but realizing this ignorance is what I am talking about. Spiritual discipline is essentially consideration of the argument until there is enough free attention that it becomes completely obvious, and the argument appears in many forms. This is just one of the versions of it. Do you know what anything is? Do you know? No, not at all. In fact, there isn't anything that is anything like a thing about which knowledge could be possible, knowledge of what it is. Existence as something is not anything that has to do with knowledge. There is no such knowledge and never could be. When you realize that this ignorance is the same as your consciousness and are completely realized in this ignorance, then all this begins to become obvious in a remarkable way. Even when you seem to know what something is, you are still completely ignorant of the knowing and the thing. Knowledge has nothing whatsoever to do with it. You are not something that has knowledge or requires it. So what is wrong? Make no assumptions about knowledge whatsoever. Know that you exist as a complete mystery, and that is precisely what you are, in fact. It is a complete paradox because everything arises in any case, not for ignorant reasons, you see, except perfectly ignorant ones. Arising has no cause whatsoever. True, it does arise in ignorance, perfect ignorance. So you can bypass all the argument, all the consideration, if you realize that you are simply ignorant of it. It could not be otherwise, because it is not a something about which knowledge is possible. Asking, who am I, is not a matter of finding out who I am. It is a matter of realizing you are completely ignorant of it. The I is not something about which there can be knowledge as to what it is. Who am I? What it is cannot be known, and yet that ignorance is also consciousness. Your very condition under all conditions is this ignorance. It is not stupidity, and it is not unconscious. It is not anything that you know about. Da, da, da.